Hello and welcome to another week in my life as a third year med student on GP placement. Waking up Monday can be a real struggle for me, but I managed to find some time to sit down and plan out my week and just set my goals and make sure I knew everything I had coming up. Morning guys! I feel like this is the first time in a vlog I've managed to speak to you before 8 in the morning. I'm really not a morning person if you can't tell already, but I'm finally getting to the point where I'm waking up with plenty of time. Last week I was giving myself about half an hour to get ready. Today I've had over an hour. My body clock, I think, is getting used to this. I am whispering because Luke is still asleep and I don't want to wake anyone up. This is the start of week 2 on my GP placement. I don't think I'm going to vlog every single week, especially because I feel like they're all going to get very similar, but I thought it would be good to film the second week where I've started to settle in a bit more. If you missed last week's vlog, I am at a practice in Southampton. I'm expected to visit all 8 practices within the partnership. This morning I am in a place which is about an hour and a half away. It takes me a 20-minute walk and 3 buses to get there, so I've got a lovely commute this morning. And then at lunchtime I have to travel to a different practice which is only about half an hour. I will be coming home at about 5 o'clock, so I should get home for about 6:30. And then yeah, tomorrow I'm at 2 other practices that I've not visited yet. I've had a look at my timetable and today I'm mainly observing lots of different people, but I'll let you know how my day goes later on. The only thing I haven't done is make a packed lunch, so I think we're gonna have to be naughty and go to a shop for lunch today. Winter was really wintering on this day and I had big regrets about having my bare ankles out by the time I was waiting for bus number 2. And don't get me started on the lack of heating on that bus. Oh my goodness, it was freezing. I finally made it to bus stop number 3 and the bus was obviously delayed by 25 minutes. And in that time, a weird man at the bus stop also decided he wanted to test my patience even more and make me feel uncomfortable. I explain what happened later in the vlog, but for now, just know I was considering giving up with the whole week before 9 AM. After a first and sadly failed attempt at taking bloods, I had to get the bus back to another surgery. And here is my meal deal. You can rate my meal deal in the comments if you want. And then it was time for an afternoon of shadowing before getting my final 2 buses of the day. So this morning I'm going to another new practice to me. There's 8 practices in this partnership and I'm expected to go to each one at least once by the end of the placement. So today I'm going to another one. It's slightly closer than the one I went to yesterday, so that's good. It's only 2 buses, and then in the middle of the day I have to travel to another practice, which is one I've already been to. Yesterday afternoon was a little bit more successful, I think. I got to shadow a doctor, I got to shadow a nurse, and I had to shadow the call centre team, which was still very interesting to be honest. So I saw a couple of patients, but it was mostly telephone consultations, which I guess is GP now. There was nothing for me to have a go at in the afternoon, so I just did a lot of watching. I was feeling a little bit low yesterday. I think it was just a really hard day and I don't want to come across like I'm just complaining about what I have to go through all the time. I also don't want to come across like I'm complaining about the commute, because I know a lot of people do very difficult commutes every single day. I'm just finding it hard adjusting to it. I'm finding it hard that I don't get paid to do this commute after working full-time before uni. I also just find it hard that yesterday especially I was putting in all this time to go somewhere and I wasn't even getting anything out of it, or didn't feel like I was. Also, guys, it's so cold. It is the coldest it's been in so long. It's like -5 degrees again today, and I just think the cold is really... Oh, morning, darling. I really wasn't very good at the whole preparing lunches thing this week, so here's another cheeky meal deal I picked up from Tesco while moving from one practice to the next at lunchtime. I've been listening to the Zero to Finals podcast when I have to move around. I think it's a good time to refresh my memory on different topics, and also if I'm missing an hour of placement to travel, I guess it's probably beneficial for me to actually do some revision. Made it to the second practice of the day, and I've got like 30 minutes till I'm in with someone else, so I'm just gonna have a cup of tea and maybe read up on a few things that I saw this morning.
To ensure that your lips are sealed around the mouth as hard and fast as I can as well. That sounds perfect, yeah.
I'm going to be observing a nurse who's doing diabetes reviews, so I thought it might be a good idea just to read up quickly on diabetes before I go in, because I've not really looked at diabetes since exam season, which was a few months ago now. So I'm mainly just using the NHS website, I can't lie. Just to make sure I know the main bits about it. Another day done, except not quite, because we had a twilight teaching session at the hospital. The uni have started putting on these monthly sessions on topics that students struggled with last year. The sessions are totally optional, but the turnout was really good actually. When we arrived, they gave us meal deals, which I was pleasantly surprised by. I've got a chicken mayo sandwich.
You got my sandwich?
What is it?
I've got cheese and onion crisps,
Oh, yeah, go on.
an apple, some water, and a brownie.
Oh my god.
Do you know what? I know
That's so exciting.
Hey GP girly. Hey. You made it. You having fun on placement? I've been loving your Snapchat stories. They make me laugh. Are you enjoying medicine elderly care?
Yeah, so much. I love it.
But I didn't even end up eating the meal deal, because then Domino's showed up, and by this point I was slightly less mad at having to trek it to the hospital at 6 p.m. And then after the lecture I had a quick shift at the pub, which luckily I got to spend mostly sat down as I was hosting the quiz.
Is this my moment?
This is your moment. Hi Katie. Wow. Hard at work while I'm sat down. I'm doing a segment on like how I host the quiz and I don't actually do any work. I was so late. My Wednesday at home started with an online plenary on dementia. Followed by a GP facilitated seminar where we just catch up with students at other practices. There's 6 of us in my group. Then we discussed a long-term condition, and this week we were discussing diabetes. We all have to present different bits about diabetes, and I was discussing what you look out for when taking a history that might suggest the patient could have diabetes. We've made it to the middle of the week, and Wednesday is the best day because I don't have to go to placement. We have seminars in the morning and then like a little tutorial after, so it's a bit more chilled out, and the next 4 weeks they're always online, so it was really nice this morning just to roll out of bed and turn on my laptop. I quite literally rolled out of bed at 5 to 9. Quick update on how this week is going. My patience is wearing thin with the commute and the moving around between GP practices. Most people are at one practice and they go to the same practice every single day. For some reason, I have to go to 8 different practices, and we're not just at the same practice all day. They make us move from one to the other in the middle of the day. And the reasoning for this is so that we can see everyone who is in the partnership. We can see a variety of patients from different catchment areas. So I understand the learning experience I'm getting from it. But for example, yesterday it took an hour to get from one practice to the other in the middle of the day. And I feel like that could be an hour that I'm actually learning something, not just on a bus. I feel like I've seen a few interesting things this week and I'm starting to get more involved. Monday was a struggle. I started off the week really positive. I got to this bus stop, it was -6 degrees, and then the 3rd bus was delayed. So the bus stop was in a car park, it was right at the back of the car park, and there was no one really there other than a bus every 30 minutes. This man came up to me at the bus stop and was just like standing right next to me. I'm talking like in my personal space, when there was plenty of space for him to stand. He stood right next to me. It was just me and him there. He started smoking right next to me in my face, and then he kept like looking at me, staring at me, and I was like quite scared, so I just looked forward, and anyway, he ended up walking off because I didn't react to him. And then I get a phone call to say that the nurse that I'm going to be shadowing is off sick and I'm travelling all that way and there's no one else that I can see for the 2-hour slot I was meant to be with her. And let me tell you, at that point I just wanted to cry because all of this had happened before 9:30 AM in the morning on Monday. That was my Monday morning, and then I got to this practice anyway, and luckily the phlebotomist let me shadow her for an hour, and I had a go at taking bloods off a patient and it wasn't successful, but I did have a go, and so I feel like that morning wasn't a total waste of time. And then I travelled to another practice in the afternoon and did some more shadowing then. Tuesday was a lot more successful. I just felt like in the observations they were involving me a lot more, so I was with like 4 or 5 different people throughout the day, including a nurse, a GP, a physician associate. I was with a diabetes specialist nurse, so I got to work with a lot of different people yesterday and they all involved me, so it felt like a really good day. I've been told that from next week I'll be able to see my own patients, obviously under the supervision of a GP. I'm excited to actually feel like I'm doing something. Observations and watching people is great, but there's only so many times you can do that before it starts to get a bit boring. One final update. I have booked my first ever driving lesson at the grand old age of 25. I've decided that it's time. I know that there's no way I'm going to pass in time for the end of this placement. It's just made me realise how essential it is to have a car if I'm going to be a doctor. I can't be commuting around on buses all the time. I can't be relying on Jack to pick me up when I'm in a desperate situation, and I'm too scared to use a bike. So basically my only option is to learn to drive, and even if I can't afford a car straight away, or I don't need a car next year because placements in 4th year you actually get accommodation near where you are, so I might not even need to drive for a couple years yet. I just want to get that skill under my belt. So I've got an instructor, it's Ellie, my flatmate's old instructor, so I'm going to be having my first lesson next Wednesday. We've got quite a busy afternoon today. I am going to have lunch with Jack now, then I'm going to campus to meet Shreya because we are organising the tour for our football team, the Swallows, and we need to finalise some of the plans. So that's happening in February. We're going away for 4 days to a mystery location. But yeah, we need to just figure out some of the activities we're going to do when we're out there and do a bit of admin. Anyway, thank God for these Wednesday afternoons. Shreya and I spent a couple of hours putting together the final itinerary for tour. We were checking out the accommodation, organising the hoodies, and also putting together a packing list for everyone. The only information the girls get before we go is a vague packing list, an idea of the temperature and some information on departure and arrival timings, but other than that the whole trip is a complete surprise. Last year we went to Benidorm and it was so much fun, but this year's destination is quite different to that, so I'm equally nervous and excited for them to find out where we're going. I do absolutely love planning holidays, so I'm really in my element as tour secretary this year, but I'll admit organising a holiday for 21 people can be quite stressful, so I'm so glad I've got Shreya to help me out. Anyway, I'll make sure to vlog the entire trip, so stay tuned to find out where we end up going. I made a quick HelloFresh dinner for myself and Jack, and we were actually watching this really weird episode of Grey's Anatomy where they all start singing. I don't know if you guys know which one I'm talking about, but I really didn't enjoy the singing. I am getting ready now because I have accidentally double booked myself this evening. I have mentioned before, but I'm part of WAMSOC, which is Widening Access to Medicine Society, and tonight we're running as a society mock interviews for students who are considering coming to Southampton to study medicine, and I've done one workshop before and tonight is the second one, but I've also got my work Christmas due and I completely forgot about it. So I'm going to attempt to go to the mock interview workshop for a little bit, help them set up, get them going, and then I'm going to go to my work and we're going to do our Christmas do. And I don't like to miss it because, you know, we all work really hard over Christmas in the pub and it would just be nice to go and celebrate that. And normally we get like prizes or gifts and stuff.
Nerd.
I'm gonna have maybe 1 or 2 drinks. Obviously I've got placement tomorrow and I don't think I can do placement with a hangover or even like a wine headache, so I'm not gonna have that many drinks. And I'm gonna be good, and I think I'll try and get home for like 9:30, 10. I also need to pop to the shop before the WAMSOC interview because I promised I would provide snacks for all of the mentors who volunteered tonight to run the workshop, so I've got to do that as well.
I've just arrived just in time.
Get your camera out, my life.
Pretend you're still doing it.
There you go.
It's Friday and I've made it to the end of my second week on GP. I look really tired. Ended up having a really good day yesterday and feeling more positive. I started my day with a GP and he was doing a joint injection clinic, and he actually got me really involved and was questioning me a lot and like making me examine the patients, getting me to explain what I was doing and stuff, so that was really good practice. And then in the afternoon I was at a COPD clinic and watched some patients get COPD reviews, and then for the end of the day I was with the GP for another 2 hours and seeing lots of different types of consultations and lots of histories being taken, which was great, and helping out a little bit. So yesterday I felt like it was really good and I was learning a lot. And then in the evening I actually had the energy to go and do an exercise class with my friend Freya. So overall it was a really productive and successful day. I just didn't remember to vlog. I am dressing down slightly today because I'm not timetabled to see any patients. We are doing a lot of final induction things on Teams. I'm not gonna lie guys, we haven't got anything at the practice. Everything is on Teams, but we still have to go there. Fridays on GP are half days, so I finish at 12 and then I'm going to campus for my student selected unit and I finish at 4 on a Friday, so that's really good. And then this evening Jack and I are going to Brighton for his friend's 30th birthday, so it's a busy day but it's gonna be fun. Hello, so we spent most of our morning in this little lecture room, mainly doing Teams meetings, just on safeguarding, complaints procedures, that kind of stuff. And now we've got an hour to work on our audit, so we're going to do that now, but we haven't got access to this template we need, so we've emailed the IT guy to try and get us access. While we wait for that, I'm going to do some pass med because time to start thinking about exams, even though they're 6 months away. If there's one lesson I learned from last year, it's that it's never too early to start revising. Hi Emma. Are you enjoying GP placement?
Yeah, it's going good.
Yeah.
Learning to take bloods, which is pretty interesting. So,
Yeah. Were you successful in taking the bloods?
I was not the first time, but I did do it quite a few times, so now I'm okay.
Now you're an expert.
An expert, yeah.
And what is one challenge of GP placement?
I think we'll both agree it's bus time.
Yeah, literally. We're really getting to know the bus system and seeing all the sights in Southampton.
Yeah, all the attractions.
I saved the free sandwich the uni gave us at that Twilight lecture on Tuesday, so lunch was actually sorted on this day. I made it to campus after lunch for our Friday afternoon student selected unit, and my selected unit is widening participation. We spent the session discussing all of the reasons why it's hard to get into medicine and how and why it's important to support these students who are from widening participation backgrounds. When I got home, I did a quick roundup on Notion of everything I'd seen at GP that week. I'm trying to list everything I see throughout the week and then going over the conditions as revision on the weekends. I'll just pop on screen here some of the things I've seen at placement this week. I think it's really hard to document placement, so hopefully this gives you a good idea of the range of things I'm seeing on GP. Hello. And then it was time to brush my hair and make myself look presentable to head to Brighton for a birthday celebration. That's the end of another week on GP. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button if you did and subscribe for more vlogs. See you in the next video. Bye.